What is going on, guys? It's Noah here with Custom RC Mods. Welcome back to the channel. Now in today's episode, I've got some big news. I finally mustered up the confidence to take out my 5-inch freestyle drone here at college. And if you guys did not know, I go to school in a very urban environment, so there's not a lot of flying spots out there. And the ones that there are, you have to make sure that there's no people around or anything like that and fly with extreme care. So I've mostly been restrained to flying smaller things like this Blade Torrent 110, which is a 2-inch, or this 3-inch Vortex 150. Now the main difference between these quads, besides size and power compared to like a freestyle drone here, is the fact that this one has an HD setup with a GoPro on it, where these very rarely would have something like that. So I'm really excited. I finally got some flight footage for you for this YouTube channel. And let's just go ahead and talk about this quad that I'm flying here, which is my Space One Meteor. It's definitely not my nicest quad, but it's still very reliable. And when you're flying in an area where one wrong move of the sticks or a failsafe, or just a shot to the moon and then you fail safe or something like that could end really badly. You want to have something you can count on, but also if it ends up in a tree or someone takes it or you crash or anything like that, that you're not too attached to it. So this was a perfect quad for that. I went ahead and 3D printed a little TPU GoPro session mount, and I mounted in my Session 4 into the inside of the camera bay in there as well. So yeah, it also was running the Gemfan 51477 Hurricane props, which are actually some of the quietest 5-inch props out there that I've tested. So I guess it would be a little bit more stealth, but still this thing is probably 2 or 3 times louder than any of these smaller quads that I've been flying in the past. So yeah, one thing that makes a 5-inch quad so hard to fly in an urban environment is just the danger of it, and that is just because, of course, it has the added weight, and it also has the motors that are spinning faster with more more blade to them, I guess. I've actually ended up in the emergency room because of one of these 5-inch quads that hit me, and I was there for a few hours getting stitches. So yeah, definitely want to have some extreme caution when flying in more of an urban environment. I'm happy to say I had a spotter, everything went across safely, and nobody was concerned about me flying this out there, so I guess this is going to be a good spot for some more flying in the future. But for now, now that we've got that out of the way, let's go ahead and jump into the flight footage here. I've got 2 clips from 2 battery packs that I flew. Let's go ahead and get into it. Alright, so we are up in the air, and the first thing that I always do when I come to a new spot is I just go ahead and feel it out. I don't do anything too risky or go too fast or anything like that. I just want to go ahead and see what different obstacles I can go ahead and play around with, and also how I can fly safely in this environment. So I went ahead and limited myself on the other side. We're going to go back there in a second. I've limited myself to the second tree, so I can go around this first tree, but I don't want to go any farther just because there may be people straying from that path that crosses down from the loop over to the main road there, and I don't want to get in their way at all. And of course, I've also left a little bit of a buffer between the road on either side and any of the paths, just because if I fail safe or if I happen to disarm accidentally, my quad will still have some inertia, and you always have to plan for that when you're flying. So yeah, as you can see, I've gotten a little bit more comfortable just kind of doing my thing. This is a very tight spot compared to some of the other spots I fly at, so it's definitely a little bit harder to have the time and have kind of the open space to do the tricks that I want to do. One thing also that I noticed when I'm watching back the footage here is that my camera angle was consistently higher than I normally fly on the analog camera here. So this GoPro mount is at 30 degrees, which is what I normally fly, and you'll see a few of the turns I take are looking more into the ground than just looking straight on into the horizon, and I think my camera might have gotten bumped up a little bit. I'll have to go ahead and address that. So yeah, just doing my thing here. A lot of these lines that I've found out have just been from flying like the 2 or 3-inch quads that I've flown at this exact same spot. But the 5-inch quad definitely has so much more weight and power that it's a lot harder to be precise when flying around here. So definitely something that's going to take a little bit of adjustment, but now that I can watch my DVR footage back a little bit more clearly, it's going to be, again, a little bit faster to go ahead and learn all this stuff and see where I could definitely improve. Now, a little bit more about the quad. This is running Betaflight 4.2.3 on this JHAE MCU F7 board. It is the stock tune, which of course with every revision of Betaflight it does get better and better, but you guys can see there's still quite a few jitters in all the turns that I need to go ahead and tune out. I also noticed that when I'm super punchy on the throttle, even just for little short spurts, I do have a little bit of jitter just on the lower throttle, so I need to go ahead and adjust my eye gain a little bit maybe, especially just on the pitch and roll axes. They'll help keep that a little more straight and not waver off so easily on the low throttle, scenarios there. So yeah, this is a pretty interesting place to fly. I mean, I guess it really isn't compared to some other freestyle places, but you've got the trees there, and just the safety of the place itself makes it interesting because I don't have to be totally worried about flying and getting up into other people's business or around where cars or people might be traveling. So that's again my main concern as I'm flying here, just because again it is such an urban environment that I really don't want to have any issues with that, because that just obviously it does not shed a good light on this hobby as a whole. So yeah, that's the first pack. Let's go ahead and get into the second one, and actually the camera swap here. So my first GoPro was actually low on batteries, so you guys can see the colors look a lot more vivid. Both of these are running close to the same camera settings. I'm not totally sure what this one is running that might be different, but it does look vivid. This is completely unedited altogether, but my other session, again, the battery was dying, so I had to go ahead and make that swap. I'm happy that I did. It does look a lot better now, and I think that this is going to be a lot better of a flight now that I'm comfortable. I also, in between flights, tried to straighten out my props the best I could, but again, I'm not totally sure if that made any difference. You might be able to hear in the props. So you guys can see we've got two holes in the tree. We've got like kind of a S, I want to call it like an S loop that we can do. It's not like a split S, but you kind of go do two split S's around each of the trees. It's not as fluid just because that first split S over the entire tree canopy is so high up in the air. You can't really incorporate that into any of your lines without a massive punch out. And a lot of times when you're trying to fly smoothly, it is really hard to incorporate a massive punch out into that. That's what I'm trying to say. But yeah, this is by no means anything trying to be completely cinematic, smooth, or just risky on the freestyle side of things. Just because, again, I'm just trying to see what we can do with this spot, and then a little bit later, I'm going to go ahead and come back here and focus on being smooth or anything like that. But again, my main focus for this flight is safety. So yeah, so far everything's been going off without a hitch, accident-free. I really haven't done too much very close. Or been too risky on the throttle, but I'm really happy with how the squad is flying. Besides the slight pit adjustments I need to make, you guys can see all of my rolls and things like that are very accurate, and I think I've got my rates pretty much dialed in across all my quads, and this one is no different. So yeah, you guys can see I'm looking back at myself right now, and usually when I'm doing that, I hear something in the background, or I maybe hear a car or something driving by or someone walking by, and I'm always just looking at myself, making sure no one's approaching me or anything from behind, just because, of course, if that was to happen, I would be happy to talk to them. I don't want to scare them off, but also I want to make sure that I'm not startled by it, because that could affect my flying, and I also just, of course, want to stay safe and be able to disarm the motors altogether. So yeah, I believe here's where things get a little bit more hairy. I was kind of getting a little bit comfortable, and yeah, I met the ground there pretty, I mean, it was at a shallow angle, so it didn't do any damage, barely even bent any props. We're back up there pretty quickly. Sun came out looking gorgeous, but I don't think this little flight lasted for long either. Yeah, I kind of got up in the trees there, and I tried to save it, but once you kind of get it down on the ground, the best thing you can do, especially if it's in the easy to recover area, is just go ahead and disarm. It'll save your props, save your motors, save your speed controllers, and that's going to be good in the long run. Yeah, so there definitely needs to be a lot of PID tuning done here, just after the little prop wash things that I've been noticing over the past minute. This is, again, my very first time watching this flying footage, and I can definitely see that there's a lot of jitters in the prop wash, which is probably just because of my D gains being too low. I also go ahead and just bump up the filtering as well. So that's it for the video, guys. We're gonna go ahead and land now. You guys can see I'm wearing a mask, and that's always a good idea, especially if you're out right now. That'll give anybody who's trying to, question what you're doing less of a reason to stop you, because some police officer could go ahead and drive up and say, why are you not wearing your mask, and then question you about your drone or anything like that. So just something to keep in mind there as well. So yeah, that's it for my video, guys. Hope you enjoyed it. I'm gonna go ahead and take this thing out for more flights, hopefully get a little bit smoother as my PID tuning and my filter settings get more refined on this brand new 4.2.3 flash on the flight controller, and hopefully we'll get some more flying of different quads in as well. So yeah, thanks for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.